Hello, and thanks for joining me. If you claim to be a former Muslim, say, and if you then go on to say that being a Muslim means to believe that God is a giant spider who lives in the sky, there's a very good chance you never were a Muslim. We needn't suppose you were lying about being a Muslim, we can suppose that you were simply a bit confused. Atheism, in its broadest definition, is the lack of belief in the existence of a God. Pointless Thorns, Christian apologist and professed former atheist, claims that atheism is not a lack of belief. Interesting, no? So let's look at Pointless Thorns' video, which it seems was originally recorded for TikTok.
Uh-oh, human. Listen, I'm not going to allow you to be intellectually dishonest.
Okay, I'm going to try out a new rule. The first time in a video that someone appears to insult me, I'm going to apply the principle of charity if possible. So Thorns, I'm going to assume here that what you meant to say was, I'm not going to allow you to become intellectually dishonest. So thanks, right back at you. And that's only for the first time. Second time, you're on your own.
Atheism is, in fact, a worldview because a worldview is how one views or interprets reality. It is a collection of beliefs. And you would, in fact, need to know many things in order to make the claim that God does not exist.
Atheists do not necessarily make the claim that God does not exist. I know that goes against the thesis of your video, but it is nonetheless true. There are atheists who do make that claim, and we call them strong atheists, or positive atheists, or sometimes anti-theists. And there is some knowledge required to make that claim, yes, but not as much as you might think. In fact, only two pieces of knowledge are required for one possible justification of the claim: the knowledge that God's existence entails the existence of an omniscient being, and the knowledge that God's existence entails libertarian free will. These two things are logically incompatible, and the knowledge of these two things are compatible with any number of worldviews. Now, there are some concepts of God that do not entail one or both of those things, and the proof I've just given you would not count as justification for knowledge that those other concepts of God do not exist. The claim that God does not exist is always contextual. It always depends on the God concept under discussion.
You're making yourself look kind of ignorant right now.
Well, that was quick. Pro tip, Thorns, if you feel you have a moral duty to convert someone to your worldview, think twice before calling them ignorant, especially when they're talking about their own position.
If your claim is that you're not convinced that God exists, it would be because you currently believe that God does not exist.
Since this is the first video of yours that I've seen, I don't know whether you hold a belief in a God whose existence entails the contradiction I mentioned or not, or in a God whose existence entails any contradiction at all. It's statistically likely that you do, but I don't know that for sure, so at present, I don't believe that your God does not exist. But I don't believe that it does exist.
And you don't believe that God exists because you believe something else. Listen, all worldviews seek to answer all the important questions. What is the origin to life? What is the meaning to life? Who am I? Why am I here? Why is there something rather than nothing?
First of all, my worldview does not teach me why there is something rather than nothing. In fact, it doesn't even teach me that the concept of nothing is coherent, or that nothing is the default state of existence from which something is a departure that must be explained. Could it be that that's not a big question at all? Second, Christians like to speak of being an intellectually satisfied Christian, or of not being an intellectually satisfied atheist. I personally think that anyone who is an intellectually satisfied anything is dead inside. There's simply so much that we have yet to discover about our universe.
You have a worldview. All people do. But why does your worldview better explain life and all of creation?
Well, first of all, you're already begging the question by calling it creation. And second, before having that conversation, we would need to establish what an explanation is and what attributes make some explanations better than others. For example, I think that some attributes of a good explanation include ontological simplicity, specificity, coherence with background knowledge, and a track record of similar explanations being correct.
Listen, we're like detectives, and we're both presenting our own case, but you have the burden of proof for why you believe what you believe, just as I have the burden of proof for why I believe what I believe. And many ignorant atheists, they make the illogical mistake.
Now we're ignorant and illogical. Maybe you don't feel you have a moral duty to convert us.
Of saying that atheism makes no claims, but atheism makes no claims is itself a claim that would need to be defended.
To the extent that the proposition that atheism makes no claims needs to be defended, allow me to present Exhibit A, the dictionary.
But it can't be defended because it's a claim. It's self-refuting.
Think back to the last time someone asked you a question to which you didn't know the answer and you replied, "I have no idea." Did that mean you have no ideas in your mind at all? Were you telling that person that you are in fact brain dead? Of course not. The scope of that statement was restricted to the possible answers to the question. Likewise, the scope of atheism not making any claims is with respect to the set of theistic propositions.
And if you claim that atheism makes no claims, well then you claim ignorance, and so you might as well be a blank canvas, and if that's the case, well then I'll paint a picture on you. Whoop! There, look at that. That's you making claims.
That seems to be how many apologists operate, whether the atheist makes claims or not. It's called straw manning, and it's what your entire video is doing. Yet again, that doesn't seem conducive to conversion.
Because every proposition that affirms something denies something else by logical implication, because truth is absolute and exclusive. Your belief that God does not exist,
Again, atheism, broadly defined, is indeed only a lack of belief.
Is within your worldview, which is a collection of beliefs. You only denied God because you affirmed something else.
The only thing that is denied by the lack of a belief in God's existence is the presence of a belief in God's existence. So inasmuch as I am a negative atheist, the only claim I am making is that I am aware that I have no such belief, and I take my awareness of my own beliefs to be axiomatic.
So what is that something else that you believe? Because if God is true, your worldview will crumble. I know, because it happened to me when I had been an atheist.
So without taking a position about whether you were deliberately lying to us, the fact that you don't know what atheism is makes me very skeptical that you were one. It's possible that you were, but we do have at least some significant evidence against it.
And finally, atheism is not a lack of belief. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have any beliefs. But you do. I'm going to show you an example. Look, you don't merely have a lack of belief that this is red. No, you possess a belief that this is green.
The only reason I formed the belief that you are holding a green pen in that video is that you showed the pen to the camera. But take the case of your shoes. You did not show your shoes to the camera. They are nowhere visible in your video. So I do not have the belief that the shoes you were wearing in that video are black. I do not believe they were white. I do not believe they were blue. I have no belief about what color shoes you wore in that video or whether you wore shoes at all. And I am not irrational for withholding belief on the matter. Another example, and this takes us closer to what you call the big questions, is physicalism. I am not a committed physicalist. I do not believe that only physical things exist. Nor am I a committed non-physicalist. I do not believe that any non-physical things exist. I don't have a committed position, a belief either way. Why? Because I am not compelled by the evidence for either position. How does this make me irrational?
Likewise, you do not possess a mere lack of belief that God exists.
If that statement is analogous to the pen example, then we would have seen for ourselves that God doesn't exist with our own eyes, and are therefore justified in claiming that God does not exist. Obviously, you didn't mean to infer that, so again, your pen example doesn't work.
Rather, you possess a belief that God doesn't exist. And your belief that God doesn't exist stems directly from your worldview, which is a collection of beliefs. All beliefs determine unbeliefs. All unbeliefs stem directly from beliefs.
But not all unbeliefs determine beliefs. If I don't have a belief about what color your shoes are, this does not determine any belief about what color your shoes are.
So, listen, you present your case, I present my case, and then may the one that is most reasonable be believed. But don't tell me that this is not right.
I'll make you a deal, Thorns. You hold your God up to the camera the same way you're holding that pen up to the camera, and we'll have all the discussion you want about my beliefs.
Tell me what it is. And to spend your entire life going out of your way to tell people you don't believe God exists, it's absolutely ridiculous. You look foolish.
We're ignorant, we're illogical, we've been strawmanned, and now we're foolish.
You need to get busy. You need to present your case, show people why you believe what you believe. Don't be a coward.
Ignorant, illogical, strawman, foolish, and now cowardly. Yeah, you definitely don't believe that you have a moral duty to convert unbelievers. You know, I've suspected for a long time now that Christian apologetics is not a conversion tool, but a retention tool. Christianity is hemorrhaging. It's set to be overtaken by Islam by the middle of the century. If you go by church membership, it's already a minority of citizens in the United States, and it's trying desperately to stem the bleeding. I think that's what informs the tradition of apologetics that you've been learning, and I think that's what you're spreading for your own part. Otherwise, you would be trying to have a reasoned discussion with us. The last few seconds of the video are more of the same, basically, so we'll call it here. I don't think I'll be having a discussion with pointless Thorns about whose worldview explains the world better. But I'm sure there are Christians out there who can have that discussion without the name-calling and the incessant fallacies. At least, I assume there are. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want to share why you don't believe, why you do believe, or what color your pen is, leave a comment below. I hope you enjoyed this response. Thank you so much for watching. I'm David John Wellman, and the rest is up to you.